So, good morning everyone. So, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Good morning, lalo na sa mga nag-iintay na ng mga lecture for the 2025 bar exam, no? Yung ating mga bar candidates, this is going to be very helpful for you. But of course, it's not exclusive naman to the bar candidates lang. Of course, law students of Tax 1, Tax 2, and Tax Review can also learn from this lecture. And of course, our fellow lawyers who just want to update themselves on the latest jurisprudence, diba? So, this morning, we will be discussing the Supreme Court decision penned by Justice Amy Lazaro Javier, our beloved 2025 bar exam chairperson. No? So, ito yung mga posible lang naman. Di natin sinasabing lalabas, pero posibleng lalabas sa bar exam. Okay? So, to get things started, let's start with the case of LRTA versus Quezon City. No? It's a 2019 case penned by Justice Amy Lazaro Javier. So the issue in this case, no, is whether the LRTA is a GOCC or a government instrumentality. And that being said, no, kung government instrumentality pala siya, are the LRTA's properties subject to real property taxes, no? So the issue in this case, 'di ba, focused on alam naman nating lahat ano yung LRT, 'di ba? Yun yung mga train na sinasakyan natin for mass transportation. So, ano ba siya? GOCC ba siya or is it a government instrumentality? And of course, we know na yung properties niya consist of the lands, buildings, di ba? And of course, the terminal stations, real properties yung mga yon. So, are those subject to real property taxes? So, according to the Supreme Court, the LRTA is a government instrumentality exercising corporate powers. So a government instrumentality, though vested with corporate powers, are exempt from real property tax. Okay? But the exemption shall not extend to taxable private entities to whom the beneficial use of the government instrumentalities properties has been vested. So, yung government instrumentality, LRTA, is exempt from real property tax. But if the beneficial use of the properties are transferred to taxable persons. O 'di ba, alam naman natin anong meron sa mga LRT stations, 'di ba? May mga food cart, may mga food concessionaires diyan. Minsan may mga Xeroxan, 'di ba? Minsan meron pang nako, yung mga colorum na notary public, nako, ha? O 'di ba? So if it is transferred, the beneficial use of the properties are transferred to taxable persons, hindi na magiging exempt yung mga properties na yon. Okay? The taxable private entities will be the one subject to real property tax, but not the government instrumentality they have dealt with. Kasi nga, exempt yung government instrumentality, no? Much less the properties of the government instrumentality subject of the beneficial use. Okay? So it's going to be the lessees who are going to be subject to the real property taxes. Okay? Section 133 of the Local Government Code provides that the taxing powers of LGUs, including the imposition of real property taxes, shall not extend to the levy of taxes to the national government, agencies, instrumentalities, and local government units. Okay? So, hindi yan kasali. LRTA is a government instrumentality exercising corporate powers. So the LRTA operations and properties of public dominion are devoted to public use and public welfare. Tayo nga ang sumasakay dun, di ba? Hence, are owned by the Republic of the Philippines. And for legal and socially significant reasons, exempt yung mga yan from real property taxes and the means to collect such taxes. Okay? Ito mahalaga rin tong part na to, no? In fact, there is another judge case. Ang tawag natin sa mga Justice Amy Lazaro Javier cases ay judge cases, no? So there is another judge case that talks about how to interpret exemptions, right? So we know that tax exemptions are construed strictly against the taxpayer. However, 'di ba? Sabi natin nga, tax exemptions are construed strictly against the taxpayer claiming the exemption. However, when Congress grants an exemption to a national government instrumentality from local taxation, such exemption is construed liberally in favor of the national government instrumentality. So the rule is tax exemption construed strictly except when it is granted to a national government instrumentality, edi construe liberally na siya. Okay? Bakit? Ba't ba ganun yung reason? The reason for the rule does not apply in the case of exemptions running to the benefit of the government itself or its agencies. In such case, the practical effect of an exemption is merely to reduce the amount of money that has to be handled by the government in the course of its operations. For these reasons, provisions granting exemptions to government agencies may be construed liberally in favor of non-taxability of such agency. 'Di ba kasi unang-una nga inherent limitation siya yung non-taxability of the government, no? And second, of course, we have the concept of administrative feasibility. Bakit papahirapan ng government ang sarili niyang mag-collect ng something na siya rin naman ang gagastos, 'di ba? Parang government to government, no? So, it doesn't make sense. That's why for exemptions granted to national government instrumentalities, the exemptions must be construed liberally. Okay? By the way, guys, I know the next case is not one from Justice Amy, but just to emphasize lang, no, we also have the case of LRTA versus City of Pasay, no? This one naman is penned by Justice Hernando, focusing on more or less the same principles. The LRTA being an instrumentality of the national government cannot be taxed by local governments. Eh? However, portions of the LRT properties that the LRTA leases to private entities are not exempt from real property taxes. Bakit ko sinama to? Kasi gusto ko ring ipakita that this question was asked in the 2023 bar exam, no? Wherein our Supreme Court Justice, Justice Hernando, was the bar chairperson back then. Okay? So, yan, tinanong talaga. Quezon City. So, ibig sabihin, doon sa case ni Justice Amy nag-base, no? Quezon City assess the Light Rail Transit Authority of real property taxes on its properties consisting of lands, buildings, machineries, and terminal stations. Despite repeated demands from Quezon City, LRTA failed to pay its outstanding obligations, prompting the city to issue a notice of delinquency with warrants of levy. LRTA questioned the assessments of Quezon City, claiming that it is exempt from real property tax. LRTA argues that it is operating a light rail transit system for the Philippines, which is the true owner of the subject real properties. Question: is LRTA exempt from real property tax? Explain briefly. Guys, what I want to point out in this question, no, tignan nyo, is LRTA exempt from real property tax? The question focuses on LRTA as a government entity. Exempt ba siya from tax? The question is not about whether the real properties are exempt. Exempt ba yung mga real property? No, because that would focus on Section 234 of the Local Government Code, yung listahan ng mga exempt na properties from real property taxes. But this question focuses on LRTA as a government entity, exempt ba siya? So the basis for the answer to this question is Section 133, yung the fact that the taxing powers of the local government units do not extend to the charging of taxes to the national government, its agencies and instrumentalities, as well as other local government units. Okay? So, alam nyo na anong sagot dito. Based dun sa mga cases na diniscuss natin kanina. Okay? Another bar exam question, no, from the 2022 Kagiwaw bar. Okay? So, this item has two questions. O, sabi nung question, di ba? Sinabihan ka na. So, Philippine Medical Center is a government hospital. O, dun pa lang, alam mo na saan papunta yung tanong. Government hospital daw. Created by law to provide healthcare to the general public. O, blah, 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 blah. Okay? Among the properties of PMC are five lands and buildings located in Quezon City. The Quezon City assessor issued notices of assessment for real property taxes against PMC's properties that are being leased to private concessionaires. O, ito naman, may mga pinaupa na, di ba? Alam naman natin na actually this case is based on the Heart Center case and alam natin na pag pumunta tayo sa Heart Center sa East Ave, may mga restaurants doon, no, na pwedeng kainan ng public. Okay? According to the city assessor, PMC's properties leased to private entities are subject to RPT because these properties are not being exclusively used for charitable purposes. PMC, on the other hand, claims that as a government instrumentality imbued with corporate powers, it is exempt from RPT. So, question number one, or question A, is PMC liable for the assessed RPT over the leased properties? Explain briefly. And B, supposing PMC is correct that it is not liable for RPT, may the city assessor assess the lessees? O, pwede ba yun? Ang may-ari yung ospital, 'di ba? Bakit naman i-assess yung lessees? Oh, may the city assessor assess the lessees for the RPT due on PMC's leased properties. Explain briefly. Oh, the reason why I included this slide is because ang sagot dito is another Supreme Court decision wherein Justice Amy Lazaro Javier is the ponente. O, ayan. So, medyo similar yung facts dun sa LRTA case, no? So, government entity, ina-assess ng assessor, no? And then, sino ba talaga ang liable, no? Yung government ba o yung mga lessee, no? So, the answer to the previous question, ay to the questions in the 2022 bar, makikita natin dito sa Philippine Heart Center case versus local government of Quezon City. The Philippine Heart Center is a government instrumentality with corporate powers exempt from local taxes, no? So, hindi siya matataksan, hindi si Heart Center ang matataksan. But guys, take note, the interpretation of tax exemptions is again included in the Heart Center case. Sabi ni Justice Amy dito, a tax exemption is strictly construed against the taxpayer claiming the exemption. However, when Congress grants an exemption to a national government instrumentality from local taxation, such exemption is construed liberally. O, bumabaliktad ha, exception to the rule. Construed liberally in favor of the national government instrumentality. Okay? And look, so yung second question, sino bang sisingilin? Supposing that Heart Center is really exempt, sino nang sisingilin? Section 234 of the Local Government Code allows the imposition of tax on real property owned by the Republic when the beneficial use has been transferred or granted to a taxable person. So sabi dito sa case, this leaves the Quezon City government with only one recourse, judicial action for the collection of real property taxes against private individuals with beneficial use of the heart center's properties. O si lessees ang hahabulin. Okay? Okay guys, just a preliminary uh, concept, no? Preliminary concept. Oh, ang ating favorite na life blood theory, ha? So, ito kasing life blood theory, pag tinatanong ko yung students, no, what is the life blood theory? Define. Ay, nako, samot-saring definition ang natanggap ko. Maybe because the definition is so general, di ba? Ay, hala, nagkahalo-halo na tayo dito sa life blood theory, no? But, focus tayo, no? What I want to impart in this lecture is focus tayo. Okay? Ano ba talaga yung life blood theory? Let's define or make your definition more specific. Taxes are the lifeblood of the government, oo. And so should be collected. Ito yung mahalaga. So should be collected without unnecessary hindrance. Their prompt and certain availability is an imperious need. So, ibig sabihin, if I ask you guys, what is the most important word from these two sentences? The answer is collected, no? Dapat, ay, sorry, hindi naman ganun yung talaga yung hand signal, no? Collected, di ba? So, the taxes must be collected without unnecessary hindrance. The focus is on collection. So, yung mga ibang bullets dito, no, these are the manifestations or implications of the lifeblood theory. The first one being injunction generally does not lie against the collection of taxes. And that brings us to another judge case, the Secretary of Finance versus Muñez. The issue in this case is whether or not the RTC had the jurisdiction to issue a writ of preliminary injunction against the implementation of Revenue Regulations 13-13, which imposed VAT on the sale of raw sugar. At the outset, guys, I'll tell you, no, this case was already dismissed by the Supreme Court based on mootness. But nonetheless, we note the arguments of the Solicitor General for the Secretary of Finance. Kasi dito nga papasok yung injunction, no? So the petitioners, through the Office of the Solicitor General, charged the trial court with grave abuse of discretion amounting to excess or lack of jurisdiction. Kasi nag-issue si RTC ba naman ng writ of preliminary injunction. What was their argument? Section 218 of the Tax Code as amended expressly prohibits the issuance of a writ of preliminary of injunction against collection of taxes. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, focus tayo, no? It's in the tax code itself, section 218. No court shall have the power to issue an injunction against the collection of internal revenue taxes. Alright? So, yan ang injunction case natin, ha? Alright. Now we move to income taxes. Okay? We have the case of BIR versus First E-Bank Tower. This case naman answers the question as to the nature of membership and association dues, no? So, yung mga homeowners association, mga condominium corporation na nagko-collect ng mga association due, ano ba yung collection nila na yan? Yung mga binabayad natin bilang homeowners, what is the nature of the association dues that we pay to the association or condominium corporation? Okay? Is it income? Yan ang sinasagot sa tanong na ito. Okay? So, sabi dito sa case na ito, case law provides that in order to constitute income, there must be realized gain. So, dapat merong gain, merong kita, merong profit, no? Clearly, because of the nature of membership fees and assessment dues as funds inherently dedicated to the maintenance, preservation, upkeep of the club's general operations and facilities, nothing is to be gained from their collection. O, so sabi ng Supreme Court, yung mga association dues na binabayad natin, hindi yan income. Because kung ano man ang makolekta nung property manager no, nung association dues, gagastusin din nila yan, 'di ba? Sa mga paglilinis, sa security, upkeep, no? General operation of the condominium. So, hindi yan kita. There's nothing to be gained. Therefore, the collection, no, the amount collected by the condominium corporation and the homeowners associations is not in the nature of income because there is no realized gain. Okay? This stands in contrast to the fees received by recreational clubs coming from their income-generating facilities such as bars, restaurants, and food concessionaires or from income-generating activities like renting out of sports equipment, services, and other accommodation. So, itong mga nasa baba, yan naman ay income na. Okay? Kasi, tingnan mo, income generating naman talaga like bars, restaurants. May patong 'yan eh, 'di ba? May profit 'yan, no? So, pagre-rent ng sports equipment, o 'yan, may mga profit na 'yan. So, therefore, ito namang sa baba, yung collection na 'yan would constitute income. All right? Okay, next case on gross Philippine billing. So this one naman is found in section 28 of the tax code, no? This case is the Association of International Shipping Lines versus Secretary of Finance. It's a 2020 case, again, penned, of course, by Justice Amy Lazaro Javier. Okay? So this case talks about this issuance of the BIR on the demurrage fees and detention fees charged by online international carriers, 'di ba? Income ba 'yan? Number one. Number two, kung income man yan, should it be subject to the 2.5 preferential rate on gross Philippine billings, or should it be subjected to the regular corporate income tax rate, no, na mas mataas at that time, o ang layo, 'di ba? If I'm not mistaken, 30 ba or 25, no, not sure. Okay, pero mataas, 'di ba? So the BIR issued this regulation, no, or made this issuance, um and according to the BIR, the demurrage fees and detention fees, as you can see, no, they are charged because of the delay by the shipper in unloading their inbound cargo subject to tax. So sabi ng BIR, yes, the demurrage fees which are in the nature of rent na siya, ha, rent, for the use of the property of the carrier is considered income from Philippine source and subject to income tax, no? Yung detention fees, ganun din siya. It's related to outbound cargos and inbound cargos. It is considered a Philippine-sourced income of the international sea carriers that are being collected for the use of property or rendition of service in the Philippines, subject daw to Philippine income tax rate under the regular rate. O, kaya naman nagreklamo itong mga international shipping lines na ito. Petitioners argue that assuming that the merge and detention fees may be treated as income, these fees are taxable only if they form part of the gross Philippine billings and tax at the preferential rate of 2.5%. Yan ang argument nila. So, to determine whether demurrage and detention fees are subject to the preferential 2.5% rate, the Supreme Court referred to the definition of gross Philippine billings. Ano ba kasi yun, no? Sabi sa Section 28A13A, no? So, gross Philippine billings, no, pertain to gross revenue whether for, ito na, passenger, cargo, or mail originating from the Philippines up to the final destination. Parang horror. Final destination. Regardless of the place of sale or payments of the passage or freight documents. 'Di ba? So, ibig sabihin ang GPB, passenger, cargo, or mail lang dapat. Okay? So, the GPB covers gross revenue derived from the transportation of passengers, cargo, and or mail originating from the Philippines. Any other income, therefore, is subject to the regular income tax rate. Sabi ng ating beloved Tita Amy, when the law is clear, there is no other recourse but to apply it regardless of its perceived harshness. Dura lex sed lex. Indeed, the exclusion of demurrage and detention fees from the preferential rate of 2.5% is proper since they are not considered income derived from the transportation of persons, goods, and or mail in accordance with the rule expressio unius es exclusio alterius. Okay? Demurrage and detention fees definitely form part of an international sea carrier's gross income. At saka nandito na sila sa Pilipinas nung nagkaroon ng delay in the unloading, 'di ba? So ibig sabihin, income nila 'yan from within the Philippines. They are acquired in the normal course of trade or business. Kaya taxable 'yan, pero regular rate. Alright? So that's the case of International Shipping Lines versus Secretary of Finance. Now we go to withholding taxes. Okay? So now we go back to the case of BIR first versus First Ibang Tower on withholding taxes. In this case, no, um, 'Di ba sabi natin kanina, the collection of the condominium corporation for association dues is not income. So question, kung hindi siya income, is it subject to withholding taxes, 'di ba? So dito sa case na to ulit, inexplain ng Supreme Court through Justice Amy that the withholding tax system was devised for three primary reasons. Number one, to provide taxpayers a convenient manner to meet their probable income tax liability. Number two, to ensure the collection of income tax which can otherwise be lost or substantially reduced through failure to file the corresponding returns. O, makokolekta na ng BIR. Paano kung hindi nag-file ng ITR yung payee, di ba? O, at least na-withholdan na siya ng payor, na-remit na ng payor kay BIR. O, di ba? And third, to improve the government's cash flow. This results in administrative savings, prompt and efficient collection of taxes, prevention of delinquencies, and reduction of government effort to collect taxes through more complicated means and remedies. So to apply this to the principle earlier on the fact that association dues are not income, hindi rin yan subject to withholding taxes. Okay? So simply put, withholding tax is intended to facilitate the collection of income tax. If there is no income tax, withholding tax cannot be collected also. Alright? Okay, just like there are two judge decisions on exemption of government entities, meron ding dalawang judge decisions on withholding taxes. This one is the CIR versus Basis Conversion and Development Authority. 2020 case, Justice Amy Lazaro Javier din ito. Okay? So question, would the BCDA be exempt from creditable withholding taxes on the sale of its global city properties? Okay, so alam naman natin ng BCDA, yan ang namamahala sa BGC, no? Na dating Fort Bonifacio. O, kaya dating Fort Bonifacio, dati siyang base, kinonvert. Kaya BCDA ang may authority dyan. Okay? So ngayon yung BCDA, binibenta niya yung mga properties, right? So question, is the sale of BCDA of its global city properties exempt from creditable withholding tax, no? And the Supreme Court said, yes, the BCDA is exempt from CWT on the sale of its global city properties. The Supreme Court based its ruling on the law, no? RA 7227 as amended by RA 7917, which expressly states that the proceeds from the sale of certain properties, including those owned by BCDA, are exempt from all forms of taxes and fees. The court emphasized that the provisions of the law, as a special law, take precedence over the general provisions of the tax code. So, the income derived from the sale of the properties is excluded from BCDA's gross income. Kasi nga, merong special law that exempts the same. So, kung hindi siya subject to income tax, the withholding tax system also does not apply to income payments made to national government entities and their instrumentalities that are exempt. Okay? So, dito sa case na to, ang mahalagang tandaan natin, si BCDA mismo as the payee, no? Kasi siya yung seller so siya yung babayaran, no? Si BCDA mismo as the payee is the one that is exempt. Okay? As compared to what we were studying last year, no, yung CIR versus COMELEC, if I'm not mistaken, 'di ba? Kasi ang sinasabi ni COMELEC, government ako, exempt ako. Pero in that case, si Comelec kasi ang payor. Ano? Dito si BCDA ang payee ha. Si Comelec ang payor, binabayaran niya si Smartmatic na hindi naman exempt. So it is the payee's exempt status that determines whether it will be subject to withholding or not. Alright? So now we move to tax assessments. So this one, well, actually combo ito ng tax assessment and refund, no? So there was an assessment against Toledo Power. So this is the case of CIR versus Toledo Power. And Toledo was being assessed for the amount of 90 plus million. Okay? And in the course of the assessment, what Toledo did was to enter into a settlement agreement with the BIR na instead of the 90 plus million, 6.9 million na lang yung babayaran niya. So okay, nag-agree na sila, nag-settle na sila. But later on, here, we have Toledo claiming the refund. Ni-refund niya, no? Nire-refund niya yung 6.9 million na binayad niya, okay? Because sabi niya, it claims to have erroneously paid. Ay, mali pala ako, no? Erroneously paid the amount, thus effectively seeking to undo the informal settlement it previously forged with the BIR. Central to this argument is Toledo's assertion that it paid the amount of the assessed VAT deficiency based on what was an unauthorized and erroneous PAN. So, mali daw pala yung assessment. So, bakit daw siya nakipag-settle? Kaya, nagre-refund siya. So, basically, yun yung gusto niyang mangyari. Okay? Anong sabi ng Supreme Court? The NIRC as amended provides the procedure for settlement and compromise of tax disputes, including limitations on authority through the BIR. But the legislature, in all its wisdom, has never prevented the BIR to use other less formal methods of resolving tax controversy without going through the tedious process of litigation. This is precisely why the CIR is vested with authority to compromise or abate any tax liability under Section 204 at any stage of the proceeding. Even criminal violations are subject to compromise, di ba? As long as they are not involving fraud or already filed in court. Okay? So, the informal settlement between the parties is generally binding and cannot be undone except in case of falsity or fraud under Section 248. No? Hence, Toledo is now stopped from seeking a refund of the settlement amount, especially after it had already benefited therefrom in terms of being made exempt from an otherwise tedious litigation and payment of the huge amount of 92 million pesos, 'di ba? Moreover, Toledo should not be allowed to take advantage of the fact that as a necessary result of the informal settlement, the prescriptive period for the government to collect the actual amount of Toledo's tax liability in the meantime had already expired. 'Di ba, remember sa tax assessments, 3 years lang to issue the final assessment notice formal letter of demand. Eh syempre, nung nagsettle na sila ng 6 million, eh di tumigil na sa pag-a-assess si BIR. Nagsettle na eh, di ba? So, ibig sabihin, tumakbo na yung prescriptive period na 3 years. Nag-lapse na yon. O di hindi na pwedeng balikan ni BIR yung assessment, di ba? Kung halimbawang ma-undo or ma-rescind itong kanilang informal settlement. Nag-benefit na si Toledo. Sabi ni Justice Amy, indeed, to give imprimatur to Toledo's clear manipulative scheme would be the highest form of injustice. So therefore, denied ang claim for refund ni Toledo. Alright? So that ends our discussion for the judge cases. Okay? And our battle cry for the 2025 bar exams. Difficult roads lead to beautiful destinations. Tiyagain nyo lang guys, lalo na yung mga nagbabar review. Tiyaga lang, no? Alam ko mahirap magpuyat, mahirap mag-memorize. But it will lead you to finally getting that dot, no? Yung that ATTY dot, no? So it will lead to a beautiful destination. So thank you for, sana i-like and subscribe nyo itong channel na ito ha, and i-share nyo din itong video, no? Dean Rocky's Lectures. I'm also on Twitter and pati na rin TikTok, no? I use the handle at what Rocky thinks. So, please add me also there. You can follow me, okay? And thank you for um remaining viewed, no? Remaining tuned in to this lecture until the end. Thank you and best of luck in the bar exams. Maraming salamat po sa pakikinig. Remember, salamat din po sa panonood because all the proceeds of this YouTube channel will be donated to the bar operations of the various schools that I'm connected with. Okay? Maraming salamat po sa pagtulong sa ating mga bar candidates. Thank you and God bless po.